One.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. So why is a gorilla conservationist or an elephant conservationist coming to talk to people who care about badgers? Well, as some of you know, I spend a lot of my time working in Africa and Southeast Asia, trying to protect apes and elephants and other endangered species. And when a species is considered endangered, the conservationists have a set of criteria that depend on how you list them on the red list. If you look up the IUCN red list, you'll find out that the first criterion that is addressed is population. And if the population is seen or even suspected to have declined by 70% within 10 years or 3 generations, it's considered endangered. How extraordinary that our government is selecting populations of badgers and by decree trying to make them endangered. Because if that population was successfully reduced by 70%, it would be endangered. So it seems to me that what we're talking about here is wrong. The culling of badgers is wrong. You've heard from Dominic all the reasons why it's wrong, so I'm not sure I can add a lot to his well-informed debate, his well-informed opinions. But I think it's wrong because most of the animals killed are healthy. The surveys of roadkill badgers in TB hotspots show that about 15% have any sign of the disease. So 6 out of 7 badgers that are being culled have no TB. Of those that have the TB, most of them are not spreading the bacteria. So they're not posing a threat. So if you're trying to target the 2 or 3 badgers that might be posing a threat, then you're having to kill 97 or 98 healthy or non-threatening badgers. No one is going to accept that that is the right way to go about it. So what else can you do? Well, we know that the bacteria are passed, and you can look at a farm and identify locations where the bacteria are likely to be found. So it seems to me that biosecurity, even more than vaccination, I think it's great that we're looking at vaccination, but biosecurity is more likely to succeed. So the reason I've been going out with the Wounded Badger Patrol and seeing this interaction between people who care about free-living, healthy badgers being left to go about their business, and the police and the hunt saboteurs and the shooters and the farmers who support the shooters. I mean, as an exercise in drama, it was amazing to be driving around the lanes of Gloucestershire, seeing these different groups of people, some of them armed, most of them not armed, fortunately. It's surprising to me there weren't more incidents, because some of the intimidation, which I and the teachers and the civil servants and the other people who are out with us, the retired engineers and all sorts, coming out to monitor this cull, the intimidation that we were getting from the farmers was far more than the alleged intimidation of the shooters from those who support the badgers. So there is a great deal of misinformation floating around. But there's another consideration. Because I work a lot with DEFRA internationally, where we are seen as a country that cares about biodiversity and has enlightened biodiversity policies, and we go to a country that is trying to deal with human-wildlife conflict. And they say, well, what do you do in England when you have a conflict related to disease in wildlife? Oh, we have a policy of killing 70% of that population. And does that work? Well, the proportion of the population after the cull which has the disease is exactly the same as before the cull. There are just fewer of them. And if you cull animals, you cause perturbation. You destroy their society, which means individuals move around. So the chances of those very tiny number of badgers with the bacteria moving around and spreading it is increased. And TB, as you know from humans, is a disease that is most prevalent where there's poverty and stress. So you cause stress in a badger population, those who are exposed to the bacteria are more likely to show symptoms, to not be able to defeat it. So you're weakening their immune system, you're destroying their society, and you wonder why this is a good policy for controlling a disease. So it makes us look like hypocrites, around the world is we tell countries, oh, you just have to put up with wildlife causing problems because those problems are part of having a healthy ecosystem. But here in the UK, well, not in the UK, in England, we're dealing with this issue in a way which our own scientists say won't work, our own public are strongly against. And so why are we doing it? It can only be for political reasons. And politicians listen to people who vote. And that's why it's very exciting to see so many voters and young people who will one day be voters expressing their views. And being part of this Wounded Badger Patrol and the public monitoring of a bad policy has taught me a lot about how the public can interact with the political process. I didn't used to be very active politically. I didn't particularly know or care who my MPs or MEPs were. But since getting involved in this sort of issue, I know that they listen to our letters and our emails. And if you go to the internet and find out how to write to your MP, if you don't know who your MP is or your MEP is, just go to write to them or they work for you. These websites that make it very easy to send a single message to all your elected representatives. They will listen to you. And if they listen to you, they will convince the Prime Minister and the current Minister responsible for this fiasco that this is not a sensible policy. It's not sensible on scientific grounds, it's not sensible on ethical grounds, and it's certainly not sensible on political grounds. So thank you for your support, keep doing it, and if we cannot get it cancelled, I will be with you whenever I'm in the country, patrolling the lanes of Gloucestershire, because I live here and I care. Thank you.